We found a body out here. Somebody had put it on like a mattress or something and burned it. It looks like it has bones in it, and you can see intestines and gut.
When Mexico police received this 911 call, they had no idea it would lead them to a discovery that would change everything.
I already know what happened.
Tell me what you think, son.
No, just don't like the way I'm being approached and questioned.
After some investigation and efforts, officers met with someone who had answers to all this brutal act. Soon the cops were hitting the dead ends and furiously searching for clues. Then suddenly a suspect's slip of the tongue revealed something only a killer could have known.
She on Friday, she said come on Saturday morning and get the key, and we were hanging out. She was here that day.
Our case begins with the first 911 call on January 28, 2018 at 6:56 a.m.
I haven't been able to get a hold of her, and she usually gets back to me because I call her every morning and night, and she has, and the phone has been offline. My note that I left yesterday is still in the door.
5718.
Marilyn Gandert, 65, had disappeared from her home. As the police launched their investigation, starting with an interview of her brother, who had placed the 911 call.
I answer the door. Her phone is like it goes directly to voice messaging. I left a note there yesterday. It's still there.
Okay.
Her vehicle is here. Yeah, 'cause I'm really nervous.
Do you have a
She's
key?
got three. No, I don't. She doesn't have that many friends. She's like me, kind of solitary.
Okay.
But now my mind is going everywhere. But
No,
I got kidnapped.
I'm with you, sir.
Killed or had a.
Harry shared that her husband had passed away years ago, followed by the devastating loss of her only son, Ryan Bickett, who had taken his own life. Despite these tragedies, Marilyn found solace in her daughter-in-law, Alyssa, and her grandson, Drake. When Marilyn stopped answering her phone and with no clues to her whereabouts, Nancy Robinson, Marilyn's longtime friend from the post office, grew concerned.
Are you worried about Marilyn too?
Yeah.
I haven't get a hold of her for a couple of days, and it's just not like her.
No, it isn't.
So have you gone in? Did you have a key?
No, I don't have a key.
Do you have a key?
No.
No? Okay.
But the dogs are barking.
Both Nancy and Harry informed officers that Marilyn rarely left her house. Hearing the same account from two different people heightened the officers' suspicions, prompting them to question what might have happened. The police quickly proceeded to her home, where a search of the property revealed the signs that something was wrong. When knocking on the front door yielded no response, the officers moved to the backyard to investigate further, looking for answers or anyone out of place. They then checked the side of the garage, but their view was obstructed by the blinds. Unable to see inside, they circled to the back of the house where they discovered the front door was standing wide open. It felt like an eerie invitation. The officers stepped inside and began their search.
I'm gonna go inside, okay?
Why? Best friend.
I understand that, but there might be somebody in there. Come over here. I'm gonna wait for another officer. We're gonna go inside, and then we'll get everything taken. I just don't want you to be getting hurt, okay?
Residents, the South Country Police Department coming inside. You need to make your presence known. Now come to the front door with your hands open and empty. Do it now.
Ready? I'm gonna keep along the danger zone of the kitchen, and just gonna cover right side by side to the right.
Stepping out. Clear. Cool. I think this is the garage in here. Alright.
The open door hinted that someone might still be inside, and with the potential danger of encountering an armed individual, the officer decided it was too risky to proceed alone. He promptly called for backup. As they waited, the police noticed something unusual: pill bottles and medical paperwork strewn about. Once inside, there was no sign of Marilyn, and the house appeared undisturbed. However, one peculiar detail caught their attention. Marilyn's house keys were still hanging from the front door knob.
And the keys are on the door. A lot of weird stuff. Just seems abnormal.
An open door, a vanished woman, and one eerie clue shrouded the scene in mystery, hinting at something darker beneath the surface. The investigation soon led officers to another property Marilyn owned, a neighboring house she had been renting to her daughter-in-law, Alyssa. According to Nancy, Alyssa and her family had recently moved out.
So we'll check. We'll see what's going on.
Hi.
Hi, can you come on out a second?
Yeah.
So, what's going on?
I'm moving out.
Okay, what's your name?
Alyssa.
Marilyn's daughter-in-law, 43-year-old Alyssa, had been living in the house along with her 19-year-old son, Drake, and a friend, Annie Rail. When officers arrived at Alyssa's residence, they found her in the process of moving out.
And the owner knows you're here getting
Yeah,
your stuff?
she on Friday, she said come on Saturday morning and get the key.
Alyssa explained to the police that she had planned to collect the keys from Marilyn on Saturday morning, finish moving her belongings, and complete the move by Sunday. She even offered to share text messages that might provide useful information. What the detectives didn't yet realize was that this encounter would become the thread leading to a much darker truth. For now, however, everything seemed routine. The officers continued pressing for details, trying to uncover who had last seen or spoken to Marilyn. But the search turned up no leads on her whereabouts. Though the house revealed nothing significant, they left with a timeline from Alyssa, one that might hold the key to unraveling the mystery.
You guys see those texts? It just clears a few things up for us.
No, that's fine. I said I'm going to come by in about an hour for the keys. I don't have, but I told her when I am, and see, she wasn't answering me, but she doesn't always answer me.
So the last one you got from her
was at 10:35 on the 26th. That was the Friday.
Okay.
But she was here that day, and we were hanging out.
Do you know where she would be right now?
I honestly don't, and that's
because somebody's trying to report her as missing. Because Marilyn is being entered as a missing person, they want us to do a walkthrough on this house.
Okay, that's fine. Perfectly fine. I have no problem.
I appreciate it, Alyssa. It's a box to check. Right, where are you moving to?
Oh, no.
This one?
I had it a little close, so I was trying to...
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. You can open that door if you want. That's a closet. She didn't come yesterday, and I expected her to come by, but I didn't think anything of it. I thought, she probably just...
Right.
Sometimes she gets mad and won't even talk to me, so... And she's mad at me, but she has been pretty cordial with me. I said, I'm just trying to get my stuff out.
As time passed, their worry grew, overshadowed by the haunting question of whether they would find her in time and safely. Marilyn's brother, her best friend, and her daughter-in-law, 3 people who were always in close touch with her, had no answers. She had disappeared without a trace.
And the more time passes that this person is gone, it could also mean that more time passes that they could be injured, harmed, or pass away.
On the night of January 26, 2018, a middle-aged woman was driving home from work in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. But this wasn't just another late-night drive. This journey would alter her life forever. As she was driving, she noticed something strange on the road, a smoldering pile with wisps of black smoke and faint orange embers, indicating it had recently been set on fire. The road was dark, so she continued on her way, but the image of the burning pile lingered in her mind. The following morning, she returned with her husband to see it in the daylight. As the couple stepped out of the car to inspect it, what they discovered left them horrified. The husband quickly called the police to report the chilling discovery, and they arrived at the scene without hesitation.
229. So when I get there, I'll give you a Latin long if it is what we think it is.
I don't know, man. It looks like it has rips and teeth in there.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if it's real or...
Yeah, it's creepy.
It might be exactly what we think it is, so...
There, on a scorched mattress, lay a body, charred, contorted, and barely recognizable as human. Metal restraints bound the body, tightly wrapping around the wrists and ankles as though it had been deliberately held in place. The right foot was gone, cleanly severed at the ankle. The mouth was open in a wide, unyielding gape, as if caught in a permanent scream. It was undeniable now. Someone had deliberately left this body to be discovered, almost as if challenging the world to take notice. And this was only the start.
That evening, we put out that we had discovered these remains and hoping that we would get tips from the public as far as missing persons. We probably received 50 phone calls, but the call from Nancy was very specific. Nancy was very concerned that her friend who had been reported missing was the deceased person. It would fit our timeline and gave me hope that this was actually the person that we had found. After autopsy, I contacted the Office of the Medical Investigator and provided them with the dentist of Miss Gander. They were able to confirm that the decedent on the mattress was Marilyn Gander.
Dental records confirmed that the burned body found on the desolate block road was that of Marilyn Gander. By the following day, news of the discovery reached Albuquerque. The revelation of Marilyn's body sent ripples of shock through the community, particularly affecting her brother.
Hi, are you Harry? Uh-huh. Hi, I'm Detective Apodaca. So I told you I was going to keep you up to date as to everything that's going on. The body that she suspected in Rio Rancho, the burned one, was positively identified as Marilyn.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? Yeah, sit down. I am so sorry we have to come and bring you this news. Harry, I'm so sorry.
She was my sister. I wish, I wish I could have been with her or something. It's too late. It's gone. Never hear her voice. I mean, she was just a wonderful person and a very wonderful sister, and I miss her every day of my life.
Marilyn was no longer missing. She had been taken from him in the most unfathomable manner. Now, detectives were resolute in their mission to uncover the identity of the person responsible for this horrific crime.
She's the last person who would have thought anything like this would happen. That's the movies, or drug dealers or something like that. She's a regular person, a male person.
What was Marilyn's routine?
She was like me, solitary.
She liked to stay home?
By herself, yeah. She had just a few friends, like Nancy.
Did she rarely leave the house?
Yeah, I can't think of what she was leaving. Oh, I think right now she was going with the process of eviction, getting things started with moving. Alyssa lies all the time, and she would promise to pay the rent and didn't. And she just got tired this time, and I told her, well, maybe you should evict her.
What was her relationship like with Alyssa?
It was curt.
Were her and Alyssa close?
Frenemy.
More frenemies than...
Yeah.
Okay.
The police had just discovered that Marilyn and Alyssa's relationship was strained, and another significant detail emerged. Alyssa hadn't been moving out by choice, but had been evicted. This raised suspicions, particularly since she hadn't disclosed it earlier. The detectives had their work cut out for them. Their focus had shifted from just where Marilyn lived to where she might have met her end. Marilyn's home was their first point of focus, but a thorough search revealed no signs of a struggle or blood. It was evident that the murder hadn't occurred at Marilyn's home. Armed with this information, they shifted their focus to another property Marilyn owned, the house she had rented to her daughter-in-law, Alyssa Pickett, who they had just discovered had been evicted.
I don't want to, you try not to be in the way, and yet you try to, I'm looking for her. I'm coming for her.
Right.
Because I ended up calling 911 on Sunday morning because Alyssa shouldn't have had the keys in the first place.
After learning that from Nancy, huge red flags go up because Alyssa's telling us that Marilyn willingly gave her the keys.
I said I'm going to come by in about an hour for the keys. I don't have, but I told her when I am. And see, she wasn't answering me, but she doesn't always answer.
Nancy truly believed there was absolutely no way, 100%, she would not give Alyssa the keys when she was not there. Clearly, at that point, we want to find out who's telling us the truth. We want to find out, how does Alyssa have these keys without Marilyn's permission?
The detectives then turned their attention to Drake, Marilyn's son, who had moved to a hotel with his girlfriend, Nikki, after the eviction. In his initial statement, Drake claimed that the last time he saw his grandmother outside the house was when his mother and Annie were moving their belongings. He mentioned that nothing seemed out of the ordinary at the time to raise any suspicions or concerns.
When's the last time you talked to your grandma?
I would say 3 or 4 days ago. My grandmother was telling my mother that we were getting kicked out, so then I was helping her move out.
How did that make your mom feel?
Oh, she was pretty upset.
Yeah.
She was really upset.
Where's Grandma?
She was not there yet. she had shown up later. We were moving stuff out, and then she had shown up. But then, the first time I saw my grandma, Annie and my mom and my grandma were there.
Drake was very nonchalant about things. He didn't know what was going on with his grandma. He's, yawning. He's just waking up. He doesn't even seem to care.
At just 19 years old, the detectives had initially overlooked his lack of awareness about the situation. But now, they were prepared to inform him of his grandmother's death and closely watch his reaction.
So, your grandma, we found her, but she's dead.
Where at?
Well, we believe that it's suspicious. Okay, we think someone killed her.
When?
And I'm really sorry.
Okay.
How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel sad. Very sad.
His reaction was unusual, almost as if he were pretending or putting on a show.
When Drake was informed that his grandmother was dead and that she had been murdered, we expect, maybe some tears or some shock or some sort of emotion. He just kind of glazed over.
I'm trying to get all my times right.
He didn't seem to care at all. Without that emotion, you wonder, is this something he's already processed? Because he's known for a couple days that she's dead. So he processed it the day she died. Or was he surprised about it?
Knowing that, is there anything now you may have seen or heard that you think, okay, that's kind of out of the ordinary, something that I saw or someone that I talked to or a conversation?
I haven't heard or seen it.
He insisted that he hadn't noticed anything unusual or suspicious, stating that everyone was fine when he last saw them. With a search warrant in hand, the officers thoroughly searched Alyssa's home.
This is the Albuquerque Police Department. Make your presence known. Make your presence known now.
Okay, is there anybody else in the house? No. All right, step up on me. Okay, so this is the situation, okay? We actually have to secure the house.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get all my stuff out.
Okay. All right, so unfortunately, I can't let you go back inside.
I have things in there.
Unfortunately, I can't.
Clear.
At first, detectives didn't find anything, but then they spotted a drop of blood on the wall in the entry hallway. This discovery hinted that something more sinister might have occurred. While the search was ongoing, Alyssa learned that Marilyn's body had been discovered. Curiously, when officers first spoke to Alyssa after Marilyn's disappearance, she never mentioned the eviction. She only stated that she was moving out, which raised suspicions with the detectives. To further support their concerns, Nancy offered another insight. Marilyn had grown frustrated with Alyssa after years of support. Following Ryan's death, she had wanted Alyssa to start paying rent, but Alyssa resisted. As a result, Marilyn had decided to sell the house and move on from the emotional and financial strain. When questioned, Alyssa claimed the eviction process had been amicable, saying she and Annie had simply wanted to leave peacefully. However, Marilyn's actions told a different story. She had changed the locks on her door and only allowed Alyssa in when she was there. After searching Alyssa's rented apartment, police saw her friend Annie come to the driveway.
Tell me about her. She. Tell me about her.
I don't know her. I don't know a whole lot.
Did you meet Marilyn at all last week?
Yeah, so she was here when we were
Oh, she
moving
was?
stuff.
Okay. Tell me what she was doing here.
She was in a vehicle. She was in and out of the house. She was nagging everybody, telling us like how to move out. And
really?
and then she came at me and she said that, this is your fault. You know why they're getting evicted, right? Because of you. This is weird. Like
I know.
I don't like.
Okay.
I already know what's happening.
Tell me what you think's happening.
No, I just don't like the way I'm being approached and questioned.
While investigating those close to Marilyn, the detectives reviewed the autopsy reports. What they revealed was not just death, but a chilling message written in blood and fire. Marilyn had been beaten and stabbed to death, but the brutality didn't end there. After killing her, the murderer, or an accomplice, transported her body to Rio Rancho, placed it on a mattress in the road, and set it on fire. The killer didn't stop at the stabbing and beating. Marilyn's body was soaked in gasoline and then ignited before her killer vanished into the night. When the medical examiner examined the remains, they confirmed there were no signs of sexual assault. However, ligature marks on Marilyn's wrists and ankles suggested she had likely been bound, either before or during the murder. However, Alyssa's interview didn't stop there. More details emerged that would raise further red flags.
I want to get my things out first.
Nobody can go back until the search warrant's completed. You gotta understand.
I know, but I want my clothes and I want to go to my hotel and I want to sleep. My back hurts. I'm tired of moving.
I understand. All right.
I just want my clothes, that's all. Because she said she goes to work on Monday.
Okay.
Okay. That she wanted to take the weekend. She's like, come over in the morning and get the keys.
So she's telling you to come over in the morning and get the keys from her. And that was the last time you spoke to her?
No.
Okay.
I went on Saturday morning to pick up the keys.
So you went over to...
Around 10 o'clock. And I just knock on the door, get the keys. She says, give them to me on Sunday. And that's all we said. That was it. Not even another word.
Alyssa's timeline of events didn't align with the facts, prompting detectives to press her on the inconsistencies in her story. What further fueled suspicion was Alyssa's statement that she last saw Marilyn on Saturday morning. The issue was that Marilyn had already been dead by then, making Alyssa's account increasingly dubious. As a result, the police took both Alyssa and Annie into custody, handcuffing them for formal interviews.
Your story doesn't match. That's
Try to make sure they're not too tight,
what's
okay?
going on. This officer's going to transport you there. You're going to meet with another detective, and we're going to sit down and have a chat, okay?
Hi, step on it. Good way.
Following this, the detectives also brought Drake into custody for questioning. This time, Drake would disclose something that would completely alter the course of the investigation.
I wrote a warrant for you for the homicide of your grandma. So I'm actually charging you with the homicide of your grandma.
Okay.
Okay. I've already had your mom, your mom's arrested.
Yeah.
And Annie is arrested.
Okay.
Okay. So I have enough probable cause to believe that you were involved in the homicide of your grandma.
How so? Oh yeah, you're the detective.
I am the detective.
I'm gonna tell you the honesty.
Okay.
My grandmother said, I'm too old. Will you please kill me? Multiple times, drunk and sober.
Okay.
That is honestly.
Drake's statement appeared to provide a disturbing justification for the unthinkable. He told detectives that he had followed her wishes, carrying out her request with a sense of reluctant obligation.
So you're saying that at some point your grandma asked you to kill her?
Yeah.
So do you remember that date?
I don't remember the date, but that's what she
Maybe
wanted.
not the actual date. I'm not asking you for the date, but can we go back to that date in your memory and tell me what happened?
I was there and then she would be like depressed, you know?
Right.
And, she for certain said that. I know she said that.
Okay.
So I
understand.
passed her away, you know what I'm saying?
So how did you do it?
This was the moment the investigators had been anticipating, the tense silence before they expected a confession revealing how Marilyn had been brutally murdered.
Just essentially, that's it. That's all the information without a lawyer or a public defender I'd like to share.
Drake shuts down and he asks for an attorney, and it almost is like a defeat again for me because I know there's more to this story and I can't get it anymore from Drake.
Drake's confession might have contained a grain of truth, or it could be concealing something much darker. Either way, it only intensified the detectives' suspicions, as they believed Drake might be taking the fall to protect his mother and Annie.
I knew in my heart I arrested the right people, but what bothered me was I did not know their exact role in the homicide. I wanted to know exactly who did what that evening.
Ultimately, further evidence uncovered the chilling truth. Marilyn's murder was not the work of strangers, but a coordinated act by those closest to her. Drake's confession, along with supporting evidence, confirmed that Alyssa, Drake, and Annie were all involved in her death. However, Alyssa had a different version of the events to share.
So Marilyn, she's sitting in her car, and then she was coming in because she needed to use the restroom. But Drake is like, look at my mom. This is our house. Can't we just stay here one more night in our own beds? And she said no. And so he was crying and he left out the back door. I stayed in my room. And at that point, I did hear Marilyn yell. And I went out there and Annie is on her back. She's on the ground.
So Marilyn's on the ground.
Marilyn's on the ground, and Annie's
top
got her
of
knee in her back.
Oh, she has her knee in her back.
Mhm.
Okay. What is Annie doing to Marilyn?
Hitting Marilyn's face. And so I'm kind of panicking, but I'm mad, and I did hit Marilyn. I tied up her hands and legs, and I helped her put this bag over her head.
Do you remember what you did it with? What you tied her up with?
Yeah, it was like phone cords and stuff like that. Then there's other one that Annie gets, put it around her neck, and I hear it snap, but I don't know if it's the cord. I'm just like, I gotta go.
So you heard something snap, whether it was the cord or Marilyn's neck.
Right.
You're not sure.
Alyssa also admitted that she had left Marilyn alone with Annie, and upon her return, she found Annie cleaning a bloody knife. Alyssa's account diverged from the others, as she claimed Drake had no involvement and appeared only as a concerned grandson.
We ended up going into Rio Rancho. Then we unload the mattress, and I poured gasoline and I lit it on fire.
What did you assume had happened when you left?
Well, I would assume that she stabbed her or something.
Okay. So you don't see Drake at that point?
No, not at all in the house.
Okay. It didn't quite ring true to me because, first of all, she's putting Drake out of the story. Annie really has no reason to stab Marilyn. Just out of the blue, they beat her up. She's unconscious. Why would Annie just stab Marilyn?
However, the police soon uncovered inconsistencies in Alyssa's story. With these flaws exposed, they turned their attention to interviewing the third person who lived in the rented house, Annie.
So, and then when Drake got there, we all were in Alyssa's room getting high. That's pretty much when Alyssa, she had brought it up before about killing Marilyn. I still didn't think we were gonna do it. I thought she was joking. She just told me when she nods, because she would pretend that she was the Don, like the Godfather. She just told me when I nod, get her. And Marilyn was coming in. Drake was like, can you just let us stay? Look at my mom packing. She was like, no. Alyssa looked at me and Drake and nodded, and I looked at Drake, and he started walking behind Marilyn, and I got Marilyn in from behind and took her down.
Both Annie and Alyssa agreed that Annie was the first to physically confront Marilyn. But while their accounts aligned in some ways, Alyssa never mentioned that the attack had been premeditated, implying it was a spur-of-the-moment decision. Additionally, Alyssa neglected to mention that Drake had been present during the incident.
Drake was on the side of me and Alyssa. She ran into the room and came out with a short little bat thing, and Drake got on top of her. I think I yelled at Alyssa to get something to cover her mouth. I had gotten another cord and put it around her neck to strangle her. And Drake pulled it with me and it broke. And then Drake grabbed my knife and that's when he started stabbing her. I going at it a bunch of times and I yelled and I grabbed the knife from him. He had already cut her throat.
Annie's version, however, provided a much darker revelation. She claimed that Drake was involved in the murder, helping to restrain Marilyn, beating her with a baseball bat, and ultimately slashing her throat.
Annie is adamant that Drake's actually the one who stabbed Marilyn in the neck and in the throat. I do believe that she's being more truthful. I think that Alyssa, being a mom, is trying to protect her son from any involvement in this case.
As investigators reconstructed the sequence of events, they realized the murder was not a spur-of-the-moment act, but a carefully orchestrated crime, executed by a family bound together by violence in an attempt to cover up their actions.
We believe that all three of these individuals did beat Marilyn, did kick Marilyn, punched Marilyn, choked Marilyn. They hit her with a souvenir bat. They wrapped plastic around her neck. They attempted to choke her to death and eventually stabbed her to death. They'd load Marilyn's dead body into a vehicle and drive Marilyn's body into the Rio Rancho area.
Drake's girlfriend Nikki also provided a chilling account, claiming that Alyssa and Annie threatened her with a knife and gun, forcing her to assist in disposing of Marilyn's body. Nikki described seeing Marilyn's bloodied, face-down body before Alyssa wrapped it in a sheet and loaded it into Annie's pickup truck. Under duress, Nikki drove to a remote location where they removed Marilyn from the car and set the gruesome plan into motion.
And watch Alyssa pour gasoline on her and set her on fire, and as they drove away, they could see her body burning in the rearview mirror.
To validate this account, surveillance footage confirmed Annie's truck was near the dump site, and a subsequent search uncovered crucial evidence, including Marilyn's blood, her purse, medications, and keys in the truck bed. In May 2018, Alyssa was arrested for Marilyn's murder, and Annie was later charged as well. Alyssa Bickett and her son Drake admitted their involvement in Marilyn Gandert's death and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. The court exposed the harrowing details of the crime, where the Bicketts, frustrated by eviction due to unpaid rent, let their rage spiral into a violent attack. With Annie's help, they savagely took Marilyn's life and left her body on a secluded hillside. Annie, having already confessed to her involvement in the crime, was prepared to testify against Alyssa and Drake. Her attorney described to the court the sequence of events as recounted by Annie.
Together, Alyssa Bickett, Drake Bickett, and Miss Rael attacked Miss Gandert. Together as accomplices and co-conspirators, they beat and stabbed her, tied her arms and legs, and put a bag over her head.
As prosecutors geared up for trial, Marilyn's family decided to accept a plea deal to spare themselves the anguish of a lengthy courtroom fight. After careful consideration, the judge issued the verdict on October 3, 2019.
I don't think that, Drake's upbringing is going to excuse his behavior on this incident, what he did to his grandmother.
The judge sentenced Drake to 26 years, Alyssa to 30 years, and Annie, who had cooperated with the prosecution, to 12 years. While the case concluded, the family remained in mourning for Marilyn, devastated by the senseless violence that took her life.
Her grandson, her daughter-in-law, that doesn't make sense at all. Family members, you don't expect them to do things like that. That's the most shocking part, is that people that you know well can do the most heinous things. She cared about people and others, and me, I kind of isolated myself. She would be the only person I would pretty much talk to. I'm not going to be able to share anything with her anymore. Sometimes I wish I could see something or spirit or feel that she's right there. God, that's what I could do now, is to see her as she was when she was alive.
Our deepest sympathies go out to Marilyn Gandert's family during this heartbreaking time. We hope this video provided you with valuable insights. Leave a comment below and tell us which case you'd like to see covered next. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Behind the Crime. Until next time, stay curious.